Episode 490 of the TV Dudes, recorded June 6th, 2024. ATX Television Fest, Season 13. This week, we're talking about my weekend at ATX Television Fest Season 13, which took place May 30th through June 2nd, here in scenic Austin, Texas.
That's right. You were out and about interviewing celebrities, guests, and attending panels.
Yeah, but before we talk about that, I'm Les.
And I'm Nick.
And we're the TV Dudes.
So I've been to ATX TV Fest. I think I was there the year before pandemic.
Yes,
Like
the year before the world closed down.
Man, I was definitely there I remember because I was there for first TV Dudes karaoke.
Yes. So the very first year that they did karaoke, TV Dudes got to be in charge of it.
Mm-hmm.
It was not without some issues, but it was a fun time was had by all. Luis Guzman stopped by.
Luis Guzman crashed.
He crashed that motherfucker. Oh man, he's a trip. His whole entourage was fucking awesome. And you were rocking the cowboy hat. You got your Justified hat that year.
Because we were doing a dress up or something.
Yeah, I dressed up the easiest costume ever, the pie maker from Pushing Daisies.
I forgot because I didn't know it was a costume thing until I was down here, and I'm like, well, okay, I already have so let me just go out and get the easiest things to get here.
You were like, I got a button-up shirt and a cowboy hat, right?
I got a jean vest or whatever, and a cowboy hat, and I was gonna get boots, but I'm like, yeah, I have time to break in. Boots.
Yeah. Also, the hat alone will.
But the hat was
one of those two things will break you.
And one of the things I realized then was that I find the weirdest things when I'm down here with you. And one is that I pull off a hat better than I expected.
That's the main thing I remember from it is I grew up in Texas. You're one of the few people I've ever seen wear a hat and not look immediately ridiculous.
Well, yeah, because I was
cowboy hat, I mean.
Cowboy,
full on Stetson.
I was like, oh, I can't believe I've never realized it. But then again, what other opportunity would I have worn a cowboy hat?
Well, that's the thing that cracks me up. It's like you're not from Texas.
I would not have. There was no other scenario where I would ever have put one on.
No, it's as the Lyle Lovett song goes. Texas wants you anyway.
Also, man, we were filming Henshin, and that scar that they put on me, I was like, do I need something with my face?
You did look remarkably good with a serious facial scar.
No, because I agreed with everybody. I'm like, no,
it seems like a dangerous thing to talk about on an internet podcast.
It brings up, I think,
hey, fans at home,
it brings up the symmetry of my face in an interesting way. Right. I'm like, no, I think I actually look pretty good with the scar.
I feel like someone's going to play this back in court. It's like, see, Mr. Weiler, here's where you advocated for
oh no,
Nick to be facially disabled. I was trying to help him.
So out of all the people you interviewed at ATX Fest, who would look better with a scar?
Ooh.
And or cowboy hat?
I'll be real. Tom Blythe, Billy the Kid, that guy could rock a scar.
You're probably right.
I think I don't think it would have dampened his appeal one bit in that room. I think both sides of the man. Seriously, that was like 12 deep of almost entirely female fans. Yeah, like the room just I was sitting towards the front of the room for their panel, and man, it was Tom Blythe and Donald DeLine, and from Billy the Kid, and the producer from Billy the Kid, who's been a producer for decades. And so like Tom is an incredibly professionally handsome man, and Donald is an incredibly powerful producer, and the room was definitely not freaking out over Don. Like, Tom has fans, man.
Yeah.
Also, I don't think he quite realizes it yet. There's a big Mark Ruffalo energy coming off of him of like, man, same with Mark Fauerstein, Royal Pains, the doc from Royal Pains.
Yeah.
I don't think anyone's told Mark that he's famous. I watched him explain what the USA Network was, Royal Pains as a show, how long it had been on, and all of this to Alan Tudyk. And Tudyk standing there like, I'm Mark, I know your show, man.
Dude.
We all know your show, buddy.
Viewership.
You're famous, man.
Viewership for Royal Pains has beat out most of Alan Tudyk's projects.
I realize when I say Mark Fauerstein, like, people aren't like, oh yes, but dude, if I showed you a picture of him, like, you'd be like,
yes,
you know that guy. Everybody knows that guy. Toby Huss could also rock a scar. I don't think quite as well as Tom. Maybe. Honestly, I think it just make Tom hotter.
So this wasn't the first one back after pandemic. They had
No,
one before.
last year was back, but
Okay.
the strike was impending. Like the
That's
strike
right.
was partly ongoing. Like
Mhm.
the people were about to pile in. The actors had not struck yet. I don't, maybe vice versa. um,
I think it started with the writers and then it
yeah,
went to
and
the
then went on
actors.
to the actors. And so that was all kind of up in flux. So like people were there last year, but there was a lot of conversations
That's
of
right, you can't promote your
what can I
shit,
yeah.
yeah.
So on the one hand, for a festival, it worked out cool. ATX Fest is great for always having like panels about panels, or panels about television, not just the promos.
Mhm.
And so all of those could still go forward. Like if you wanted to have 5 showrunners at the front of the room talking about TV, that's totally okay. That's not advertising anything. And they were a little bit salty and willing to talk some shit. So like also last year was when Mo Ryan's article came out for part of her book that broke open everything about Lost.
Mhm.
So like all of that happened right before like right around ATX, and I think Lindelof was supposed to be there, and it was the dominant conversation was like strike and Lost last
Yeah,
year.
yeah.
And it was fun, but I didn't hit it as hard last year. This year, as much as I could, I went back to like the way TV dudes used to do ATX Fest, like pre-pandemic. Like I just tried to go hard at it
Mhm.
and just stay there the whole weekend. Dragged you up there with me on Friday to babysit, backpack, and
Mhm.
keep me sane a little bit, get me into fest mode. That was the hardest part about it was, and I just don't festival since pandemic. I haven't really,
Gotta get back at the swing
not
of things.
really back in the swing of things for sure. Uh, the at home year itself was tough. The last year was in a little bit different locations as well around downtown. I think Austin's increasing costs have probably made running ATX Fest a lot tougher. But even with partnering or selling to, I think the company that runs South by, Emily and Caitlin are still there every day. They're around. They're introduced. I mean, like from the
That's
ground,
cool.
it looks and feels the same to me. I realize some of the like I don't think the volunteers get into as much stuff, or some of that might be different. Some of the badge levels are new. Um,
Mhm.
I don't quite know about all of that, but and from year to year, who shows up is always going to be in flux. Like you know, uh, ACL Festival is a great live music 3-day event, but some years you're just not gonna like all the bands at the top. Might not be your year to go. You
Mhm.
know, so like that's always going to be a thing. But as far as running the fest, if I was scared it would not feel the same, and it really did. I mean, I see it from the press side, but still. Uh, this is probably my favorite fest to attend any year. Yeah, I know it's local, but there's just not a lot of television fests. I think for season 14, we're going to make a real push to get 2 press passes, and both of us go cover the living crap out of it.
Yeah, really cool. Yeah, the as far as being I think I was only really jealous of, like, one thing you got to go to because the year I went was the Letterkenny panel I got to go see, and I got to see the pilot for Tremors,
Yes.
which was I got Kevin Bacon was there.
Yes.
It was a small enough room, but honestly was not as attended as big as I thought it would be, but
I'm always thrown by, I mean, obviously sometimes the things you think will be popular are the things that are popular and they're in too small a room
Mhm.
or whatever. But like sometimes, man, I would sit down and turn around and go, fuck, there's plenty of seating here. Shit.
There's only 20 people here to watch the Tremors pilot?
Right. Right. There's some weird stuff. There's some
Then
cool
again, I'm
stuff.
like, man, do people not like the Tremors movies as much as I do? And when I say the Tremors movies, I kind of mean 1 through 3.
Right. Right. I mean, let's not be crazy. I'm not talking all of them.
uh, but yeah, I know that given that your TV diaries might be a little light.
Yeah. I have watched some stuff in the last few days since getting back, but kind of with one eye half open. I watched like an episode of Bodkin and some stuff. But uh well, while I was lurking in press lounges and waiting on interviews, what did you watch?
All right, yeah, let's get into the TV diaries.
The Diaries of the Television Dudes. Brought to you by only the finest cocaine wine.
Well, I you were just talking about it off mic. Like I don't know, not in the mood this week.
Furiosa
Everything
broke you.
everything like I was just low key pissed off and not enjoying a lot of the stuff I watched this week. I got a lot done though, like productively. I found a new uh way to like edit up audio that I was
Mhm.
playing around with, and made. I think it's gonna make going forward on editing, even just this podcast, but my general editing going
Just
forward
faster.
probably faster.
Nice.
But
Well,
yeah, I
I know you watched part of Eric,
watched all of Eric.
which might have been part of your mood.
Well, I mean,
I don't know. That show just looks
this
fucking unpleasant.
because I was working, I was just like, I'm was trying to just leave stuff on. Like, I'm not gonna go around and quick and search stuff. So Eric is a interesting beast. It's the Benedict Cumberbatch loses his kid in 80s New York, and has to team up with a hallucination of this puppet that the kid made or was gonna make for his Fun Time show, uh, Sesame Street knockoff, and use that to try and get him on the show so he can get his kid back. It doesn't really add up ever until the end of like how that's supposed to help with his kid. There's a bunch of side story stuff as far as like
You like gay cop kind
well,
of
there's the gay cop storyline where he's
entrapping people or some shit.
well, yeah, he finds in this club or whatever just like a what seems to be like a hate crime going on, and basically stops it. And the two guys that are beating the shit out of this, I think, gay kid, I'm like, I don't know if he was dealing or whatever, but they're beating the shit out of him in this bathroom, and these two guys pull out badges and say, hey, we're Vice, like fucking stay your lane, missing persons, because he's in charge of the
Yeah.
kid. He's missing persons cases, which is why we're following him on this kid case. But he's trying to like he's got his own thing with this club that doesn't and then does have to do with the kid, uh because it has to do with the previous kid that went missing, which was a 14-year-old black boy that no one gives a shit about because he's black. Uh, and yeah, the show tries to hide the ball on a lot of stuff of like, shit, they find the kid's bloody shirt, like he's in trouble. He didn't just run away. Oh no,
Mhm.
wait, that bloody shirt was explained by an interaction with his dad that didn't go great. So maybe he did run away. Oh nope, they're talking about the homeless population being a problem. Like, and one of the homeless people has him. Oh wait, or does he have him, or is he taken care of? Like, it's goes back and forth on, I don't know, trying to be clever and cute about what the story is. Like, not even just twists and turns, but I'm like, okay, am I watching a kidnapping or not?
Yeah, that's just
How
kind
much
of
danger is this kid in?
just kind of you catching me up on it in like three different little chunks of wandering back and forth
Yeah.
through the room. That's kind of what kept frustrating. Was like I'd wander through and you're like, no, this kid is genuinely fucked. Like I don't know where we're going with this, but I think this kid's hurt. And walk back through like, yeah, so I think this kid's okay, man. Like, all right, this is Whiplash, man. I'm used to movies hiding the ball about whether or not it's supernatural or whether or not it's a monster, but like whether or not it's a crime or
Well, they go a long time going back and forth on it. Like, you have one twist on it, like you think it's a kidnapping, and then oh nope, halfway through it's actually something you didn't. I get that, but trying to really like go back and forth on it, and then man, Dan Fogler has a whole thing where he's gay and paying for underage prostitutes apparently, or possibly, I don't know. There's a youngish guy comes in and calls him daddy, and the gay cop is gonna like, I could bust you on that, but he's not gonna because he's gay or whatever too. But wait, was that kid underage, or is because that actor wasn't? But am I supposed to infer that he is? But you aren't. You're being so cute about everything. I don't know if what he did was a crime yet. Like, because the black kid, the 14-year-old boy, was also gay, and was giving services in the back of this nightclub, which is what got him fucking disappeared. Because he was 14.
man, in the course of just like letting stuff play when I got back from Fest, I watched the first episode, like pilot episode of Shameless with
Yeah.
William H. Macy. And I forgot that Gotham Joker
Oh yeah.
Moynihan.
Yes.
I forgot just how much of a sex crime his relationship is in the first episode of that show. The Carmy from the Bear figures out that his brother's
Yes.
gay, and it's because he's sleeping with the uh, married owner with kids of the convenience store that he works at.
Uh-huh.
And like, well, you're established as 15 and that guy
Yeah.
has a wife and kids.
Wow.
Like,
wow.
And Carmi, like, it's
Hey.
also, they also have, you know, an awkward discussion of the gayness of it, but like separately there's a like cool. That's really not why I'm mad though. That dude like from the ethicalness of the non-monogamy to the like down through the sex crime of it, what the living fuck.
Well, we were talking about that with they them and like
God.
stuff of that, like
just
man, could we not mix in the underage thing with our like sexuality issues or whatever, because it feels weird. I don't know what we're trying to say there, because they heavily imply like oh hey, you want to sell this kid to this guys that run this gay club, you know some people that like them young, and I'm like, okay, are you subtly implying that being gay correlates with at least being pedophilic? Like,
so people often do, and so to me, shows should go out of their way to avoid doing that, because it is such a it's such a classic gay bashing thing to do.
Even the because why Dan Fogler, I don't know how young that kid and how that story ends. I'm like, oh
no, shows should go out of their way to not
follow Dan Fogler for a minute. Like, I don't think you're supposed to hate him. And then you see the gay cop is his boyfriend lover is way older than him, and there's no same sex relationship in this show at all. It doesn't seem like, except for the one the cop has with a seemingly out of prison criminal, which has its own thing.
Sounds like
I don't
unpleasant show.
I don't know what it's trying to do. I don't know what it's trying to say. Ultimately, Benedict Cumberbatch, and you notice how I haven't talked about the fucking talking.
I was just
Muppet?
thinking, like, man, we're talking a lot about the seediness of underbelly New York sex.
The talking Muppet doesn't have much to do other than call Benedict Cumberbatch a piece of shit because he's alcoholic and basically one of, like, you know, genius creatives that's hard to work with.
Yay.
I don't know. I feel like I've never seen a show quite like it, and yet it's somehow doing nothing new.
Swarm.
Yes. Yeah, I don't know. I was not a fan, but maybe I just wasn't in the mood for it this week, because I also watched Atlas.
Oh yeah, with Sterling K. Brown and J-Lo.
Yeah, J-Lo versus some AI that was her brother
Genie
or whatever
from the blockchain.
Man, that's another movie that can't decide what its premise kind of is. Even like, do humans hate AI, or are we working with AI? Like, what's our?
You're too dependent on your phone, but your phone can save you. You should be nicer to your phone, but you should throw your phone away.
Your phone could kill you. Like, if AI rose up and tried to kill everybody, and now I'm supposed to believe that Sterling K. Brown, there's a way that they could have done it where it was the new generation,
right,
or whatever, that was brought up on these AIs. But I don't know. You're waiting for that movie to do something clever or something that like will be out of the norm, and it really doesn't. It's not terrible or anything, but I can see why no one is going out of their way to sing this movie's praises. I also watched a little bit of Ippo, which was a Netflix anime on Netflix right now about boxing. Just a kid excited about boxing, of learning how to box. That's it. Like, there's not a whole lot of other conflict in it. Like, he's doing it to he's not even doing it to fight his bullies, because he's getting bullied, but he never fights them with the boxing. He just kind of want to learn some boxing. He doesn't want to hurt people. He just thinks boxing's cool. Like, because he gets introduced to it and he's like, oh shit, that's really cool. Hey, do you want to use those skills to defend yourself from your bullies? Nah, not really. That seems like I could hurt them. Well, why are you you're fascinated by the sport that hurts people. Yeah, but I don't want to hurt people. What? I feel like you're conflicting here, my man. I caught up on Last Week Tonight with a couple of episodes that, like, the theme of this season seems to be episodes we had on our first fucking season and have to do another episode on now, like the death penalty, Modi, like, because on some of this stuff, like, some of it is just Modi's up for re-election or whatever, and we have to go through some of that stuff again, which is like
all the same stuff we said last time, still true.
But like in death penalty stuff, like, well, sometimes some of this stuff we've actually gone backwards on. Who's making death penalty? Like, who's making death drugs? And like apparently companies don't want to be known as the people that make the uh death drugs, which I can see why. That's a PR kind of nightmare,
Right.
but also doesn't make you stop from making government deals to make those drugs to kill people. Uh we watched or I watched all of it. You watched most of it actually, Dune 2, which I actually surprisingly liked more than the first one. I was actually pretty invested by the time. Like I don't know, it's like the Dune 2 sells what the first movie tries to and kind of fails at, in my opinion, as far as the Messiah narrative and how it's kind of bullshit, but yet you got to use it to.
I saw most. I think I missed the first 40 minutes, so I still feel like I saw most of that with you.
Mhm.
But man, I was shocked how much I enjoyed the visuals and shit of that.
They're really selling Arrakis as this unhospitable place. They're selling the Fremen as these people that need a figure to rally behind in order to
Mhm.
kick these people off the planet. You got your reluctant hero that's really reluctant for a pretty good reason. Like,
It seemed to really get which, as I understand, is the core idea of Dune. The idea that uh, that one person leader you want to rally around is an insanely dangerous position to
mhm.
allow to exist, and the kid that's at the center of it that's going to be that person seems to be the only person who really, well, he and his girlfriend like are the only people who really get it. Because at the
Yeah,
end of that movie, is he accepts that job.
yeah.
Uh,
With basically, yeah, heavily implying that like Zendaya's job now
is
is to fucking uh
oppose him.
yeah, which I'm like, I'll watch that movie now. Actually,
Right, right. That's an incredibly long 2-part setup to the movie I'll watch, and
well
that is a
this
problem.
well this movie wasn't too
But
like
this movie's pretty cool.
and I don't know why. Again, like I feel like yet
Dude,
again,
bald Elvis in a black and white knife fight was pretty neat.
man, I was mad that that scene kind of worked. That infrared scene.
I wanted to
I was
hate on
like,
the pretentiousness of the whole infrared scene of it,
it
but
does kind of add a
damn, it
little
was
bit of an
kind of
alien
cool.
planet thing
I was like,
here.
fucking shit, that's pretty cool.
They
Like
glow in a specific way.
in
That's
a
kind of
Janet Jackson video kind of way, I'd watch the fuck out of this. This is cool. Yeah,
yeah.
I did not want it to work. I was mad in the scene about it.
Well,
I was hating on it
uh,
while liking it.
I also watched uh, Hustlers, Gamblers, and Crooks because we watched another documentary, which I'll let you hit on your diaries. But uh, Hustlers, Gamblers, and Crooks, I was telling you a little bit about it, is a documentary on a lot of people from Vegas, actually, but it's about gamblers and people that are involved, mostly involved in betting, whatever it is, or hustling or play for money for stuff. They do a couple things on a like they do a couple pool hustlers. They do uh, baccarat player, a couple people blackjack. Some people that just rip off casinos uh, with like cheating, like they cheat at roulette. But then they'll interstitch that with stuff that doesn't seem to be kind of fitting. Like one woman won the lottery and then had some of her winnings take, like not even all her winnings. She bought a bunch of stuff and then later, like a couple years later, got a lot of hits, like got some of her money's taken from her by a scam. But it wasn't. She took a mortgage out on her house and then the savings. That's what really fucked her. But I'm like, yeah, but that's not. I'm watching two bookies. Like the bookies technically aren't gamblers; they're hustlers. They're the crooks part of it. But even they're related to gambling in a way, at least. Uh, but yeah, the watched one guy that was basically Molly's game card
Yeah,
player.
you were telling
Only
me about
he
this too,
played, so he didn't have to like take a rake on it, which was like
which is really technically the illegal bit.
well, it's like, yeah, having he was very clear, like having a game with your friends, a group of people, having a poker game where you bet money is not illegal. That's a thing anyone can do in any apartment. We're doing it with lots of more money and with strangers, basically, because I don't know these people.
But I don't have to prove
but I
friendship in the law.
but I don't have to prove I know these people. We're just like kicking around, like. But what makes it illegal is of you as the house taking a rake on the side, because that makes you a casino.
That means you're being paid to house gambling.
Yeah.
Yes.
Which means
Yeah,
you need
yeah. That makes sense.
That's where you need a license.
I mean,
for
laws.
it.
That's always the trick with laws. You got to draw the line box around
Somewhere.
it somewhere.
And that's what makes it how casinos make their money on those things is they take, like, so they don't have to worried about paying out. That's what Molly's game, how she got in trouble. But he makes his money playing, so he doesn't have to do that. He doesn't even quite get how. Some of them get how pieces of shit they are. There's one bookie that is like was talking about his time, and he's like, "Yeah, I was honestly, it was a fun and exciting time in my life, but also the worst part of it because I took advantage of people that have a real problem. I was a bookie, and I took advantage of people that just had a gambling addiction and made money off of their backs every fucking week. And he was not as bad as the guy that was actually mobbed up. He just paid money to the mob, so he didn't have to like. I paid him 20 grand every once in a while, so I didn't have to deal with the mob.
Right.
They go to a bookie that was mobbed up, and he's 100 times worse. Like he's like, oh yeah, I would definitely break people's legs to get them to pay money, but that's for loan sharking, not my gambling side of stuff. Like, oh, because that makes it better.
Right.
The other guy was like, you know, you don't have to break people's legs. You just have to threaten to not. You just have to
not let them bet.
not let them run up a tab that big.
Right.
That you know they can't pay. Don't be a dick. Are
you trying to let people hang themselves? Yeah.
Don't let this guy put 20 grand. You know he can't pay 20 grand on a bet. So
right.
You're not going to let him do.
They run tabs at crack houses. No.
So don't let them run up that bill, and just don't let them bet anymore until the bill's paid. You'll be surprised how gambling addicts will do a lot so that they can gamble.
Right. Right. I mean, yeah. Again, watching that first episode of Shameless, and like, I'll protest this bar. Wait till you see they lose all the money they get off me. Frank, where else will you drink? Oh, shit.
Now they got me. But yeah, I would recommend it. Like, because for every one of those, there's the card counters or people that are just ripping off casinos, and those guys are like, fuck no, I don't feel bad. What, rip it off a casino? These people steal billions of dollars from...
Them. They take every advantage. Why shouldn't I take a couple?
Like, honestly, they're just incorporated bookies.
Right.
Like
Oh, absolutely.
The sports betting bookie or whatever, I'm like, yeah, there's no difference between what he's doing and taking advantage of people and what casinos are doing. They're just, like, incorporated about it and really sinister. Like, they don't mind you fucking, destroying your entire life to do it.
Not at all.
And yeah, I like the idea of one.
They grudgingly put that 800 number up occasionally.
Yes, they do put that
by law.
Number. There was a black guy that was like, oh no, winning at blackjack is actually pretty easy. If you play with a nice strategy, the odds are close enough to 50-50 that they're like 52 to 48 in the house favor. So if you know how the deck is, or you go in with even a bare minimum of strategy, you can at least even it up, or all you need to do is put it to 51%.
Right.
Because if you put it to 51% and you play consistently,
like if someone kind of crappy at it sits down next to you at the table, this might work out farther in your like the more people at the table, the more the odds can change. Yeah.
And so it was like, no, winning isn't the hard part. It's the fact that you have to win fast enough without rousing suspicion, leave, and then come back and have them pay you again the next time you win.
Yeah.
Because it's not hard to find the card counters because they're the ones winning.
The one I definitely want to watch is the guys that pissed the casino off, and by law they had to cash out their chips, but they could be dicks about it. And they handed them $4 million in cash in clear bags to roll out on a hand truck like a furniture dolly out of a full casino floor.
So those guys get
into a valeted car.
Those guys hook up with a security guard at another casino that they didn't take money from and kind of get out of it.
Yeah.
But he was
straight up get high-speed chased through Vegas.
But he was straight up about it. He was afraid, and he was like, dude, look, I'm not...
You're just watching people drool, like, as you walk past. Like,
look, I can't say for certainty that this casino specifically, or that the casinos in generals, set me up to get fucking rolled. But I'm telling you, I've been in Vegas long enough to where that car should not have been where it was parked.
Right. The casino shouldn't have allowed them to park in that alley.
Yeah. And they didn't have to.
And it would make sense if you just gave these guys a recovery fee and the casino took back some of the money.
And all of a sudden, they don't have bags to transport cash.
Right. Oops.
So this casino that transports cash to and from a vault to other places, brings in money all the time.
Right.
Suddenly doesn't have the bags it usually has to,
move cash.
Move cash. Like he's like, look, I can't And it's definitely like he talked to a lawyer and like, hey, the lawyer was like, you can't outright accuse the casino of this.
But
he's like, yeah, but I'm as sure as anyone can be that they fucking set me up.
You're telling me if one of their high rollers had come off the back rack table and come downstairs and said, I have to cash out to get to my jet.
Yeah, that they wouldn't.
That they'd have handed him. He'd be rolling a dolly.
Yes, like no, he would have been. Oh, of course, come back anytime. So
right. Right, we're just gonna go buy the gift shop out of luggage here.
Yeah, it's funny because they like at first they like you at first they treat you greatly because they want you to keep playing.
So that you'll even it back up.
So that you'll even it back up because they don't realize you're cheating yet because anyone can get lucky or they don't realize you're cheating or counting or whatever you're doing.
And if you're just lucky, then time's on their side.
Right. But then once they realize that they're not going to take the money, they can't get you out of there fast enough.
No.
One guy is a Baccarat player, and he's, no, man, Vegas was very kind to me until it wasn't. And he's like, oh yeah, I found an algorithm basically to win consistently at Baccarat. People have a lot of systems for blackjack. Not a lot of people have it for Baccarat. I did it because they pay out double the winnings. Like they would never let me bet enough on blackjack, and it was always doubled on Baccarat.
Right.
And then every once in a while off screen, you get a guy like they'll be like, wait, yeah, but like, what's the algorithm? Oh, I actually can't tell you a part of that. I don't know what I can tell you about that because I'm selling part of that answer for like $8 million. So I don't know who he's selling that strategy or algorithm to, but he's selling part of it for 8 mil.
Damn.
Which is pretty
That's
cush.
Great.
Also the blind card shark, like that they found, like, and that guy is really freaky.
No,
like,
he's the best second dealer I've ever seen.
They show a couple other card mechanics that are also pretty good, but they show one guy and he's like, yeah, advanced technique to make sure like not only that I get what I need, but that the other guy gets what he thinks he needs so that he'll bet more.
Right.
And that's a double duke or whatever. And that's hard. That's pretty advanced. You got to keep a lot of and he's talking about one guy, 2 cards.
Right.
And the blind guy's like, oh, I can have everyone on the table. Doesn't matter the number. Doesn't matter the fucking number
all 5
of cards.
People.
Doesn't matter number of cards we have. What we're playing doesn't matter. I can control it all, everywhere.
Yeah.
My techniques are so advanced and convoluted they will probably die.
Which means he could run a true con. Like he could push up a table. Like he could make the chump feel close to like, man, you almost had that flush. You almost had that straight.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, you could really work somebody if you really wanted to be evil about it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's pretty good. Not all of them are as interesting. Like, again, they have a couple different ones run through, but when another interesting doc.
The other doc we watched
was Movie Pass, fall of Movie Pass.
Yeah, Movie Pass, Movie Crash, I think is what it's called.
Mm-hmm.
So I had a Movie Pass. You had a Movie Pass.
Yes.
I don't think we knew each other very well at that time, if at all. Barely, maybe through TV Dudes.
I don't remember.
But man, that's the reason I have a Regal Unlimited now, is just getting something similar to it.
I don't remember if there was a time I didn't know you very well. It feels like there was a time I didn't know you, and there was a time I knew you.
Right.
And those 2 times feel
book one,
very
book
distinct.
2. Yeah. But man, Movie Pass was the shit. Like,
yeah.
10-ish bucks a month, $20 a month, whatever it was. All the movies you wanted to see, whatever theater.
Mm-hmm.
It was a little bit, man, I fought with support a couple of times early on. Took forever to get the physical card. But and then it crashed out, and like, I didn't know what they did wrong. This doc was real enlightening. It's seriously, everybody should go.
Hey, did you know that the
this.
2 inventors of Movie Pass are black?
No, I did not.
Because by the time we knew what Movie Pass was, those 2 guys
when it went from like
phased out,
100,000 users or whatever to like 5 mil in like a month or whatever the shit growth they did, it was insane. At that point, the face were these 2 schmucks, one of whom I'll graciously say was just kind of an idiot.
Yes.
The other one was an outright con artist.
Yeah, his
job
is
still operating.
He's still and he's done this a bunch of times before, which is like, man, you guys didn't do a background check?
No. It's painful
because
It's
he basically all he does is pump up company stock prices so that he
And-
can sell his shares quick and then go.
so these two guys started. It's a great idea. They're making it work. They do like a rollout with AMC that AMC gets a little mad about somehow. It just doesn't go quite right.
Yeah.
It makes for a fascinating documentary and frustrating company rise because the two original creators really do hit the limit of what they can do with it. The tech is there,
Mhm.
but from this point forward, to be profitable, you have to be able to make partnerships with the studios or with the theater chains.
The theater chains,
Mostly the theater chains.
Mostly the
specifically.
theater chains.
And they can't get those deals made
Mhm.
for all the reasons that you think.
Yeah.
But either way,
Man, they dance around it for a minute and then all of it,
but
no,
still,
we had to get some white faces in there.
and so they go get two guys that look like the guys that you think are going to be in those fucking rooms, and it should work. They get the wrong two guys, like that to me. See, it felt like that moment in a Behind the Music where like, don't sign that contract, fuck. Like, because yeah, the two guys they get that can go into these boardrooms and try to make these deals simply don't. It seems like for the rest of the documentary, like the two schmucks that look like they're running MoviePass just don't.
Well,
They just don't take any meetings. They do Coachella. They party on yachts.
well, it's
their second in command goes down for some kind of fraud.
so the answer wasn't what's one of them's name? Damn it!
They're settling out of court now
Yeah.
or up for fraud
I'm
charges.
wondering what
again.
he's going to do for it because, like, honestly, his thing was having to slow down or like I'm like, well, that also won't work. And like the idea of the unlimited pass is what and you had people taking advantage of it.
Yeah, so Stacy Spikes
Stacy,
and
that's his
Hamid
name,
Watt. Stacy owns it again now,
Mhm.
but that they founded it in 2011. Did its beta in San Francisco, but then they brought in Mitch Lowe, who'd been from Netflix and Redbox, and Mitch, let's just charitably say, was dumb
Mhm.
in this situation. But they also brought in, what is the other schmuck's name?
Oh shit,
Ted Farnsworth.
Ted. I knew it was a T.
Ted Farnsworth.
Mhm.
And that dude's a fucking scam artist.
Yeah.
Like-
Well, the thing is that like everyone, man, I remember everyone having a movie pass at the model, and we were like, the joke was like, I don't know how they're making money or what this business model is, and like, yeah, they were losing money, because I'm like, well, that's
Like on
Sure.
their face, like any like your sixth grader can do the math on how they're losing money.
well, that's and when what the things where they were trying to do was not what they needed to do because like, oh well, we'll like we should increase the price a little bit, or we should put the or do something or put limitations on like
no,
dude,
you
that's
can't.
well, that's you're never making money off of this part of it. You need to make money off it. You're always going to lose money on this part, so you can make money somewhere else, and that somewhere else is the theater chains, because the theater chain should work with you on this because what it did do was make people go to the movies a crazy amount.
Right. I mean, a truly crazy amount. They have the stats. They
210%.
they thought it was going to up
production.
it. They thought it was going to take movie viewership up to like 110%, 150% or something like that.
Yeah.
And it over doubled, more than doubled.
Yeah. 210% increase.
People went to great, but this whole time, MoviePass is paying the same amount for a ticket that you would just pay,
Right.
just if you just went to the
Mhm.
box office,
Mhm.
and that's insane. There's no reason why to get that bump in butts and seats, a statistical amount of whom are going to buy popcorn or a soda or something, even just the video games in the lobby.
Which is where which is where
Why
they're going to
didn't
really gouge you
MoviePass
out.
pay $5 a movie? Why did or $2 a movie?
Well, that's the thing is that like the theaters need people there. They need butts and seats
Right.
to make money. That is how it works. So, like the theaters are already selling the tickets at pretty much a loss.
Right.
So like and now like we have a Regal Unlimited pass that's basically doing the same thing.
Yeah, I can only go to Regals, but still.
Right. And so it's the frustrating thing about watching this was that, man, this definitely could have worked and might now work with Stacy at the helm again, but
Yeah, it does still exist again. Like it's a slightly different deal.
because like they were talking about like selling data, but like data is not as expensive as you think it is.
That was fascinating. The big rumor that I didn't realize where that rumor started. Farnsworth and Mitch fucking started that rumor.
Yeah.
Trying to pull shit out of their ass, sitting on money programs. as they just did TV tours about this crap. The rumor was that they were going to sell your data, that like you needed location tracking on to verify your ticket, and that they were going to basically be trying to do a bunch of partnership deals where they were aggregating like, where you were before the theater and after the theater, trying to pitch you dinners after, things like that.
Well,
that sounds great in a Minority Report theoretical future kind of way, but it turns out data's stupid cheap. Where you go is fucking known, and it doesn't matter like that.
Well, and
so selling all of MoviePass's data wouldn't have made them shit.
But there's still like on the app banner ads, advertisements.
There is still that
sponsorship deals, like, and
there's definitely money to be made there. It wasn't going to save them.
Because I was like, man, you don't pay a subscription for Facebook, but you think Facebook isn't making fucking money?
Right. No, that's the old adage. If you can't see the product, you're the product.
Right.
If it's free, you're the product.
And man, by the time they have like 2 million subscribers or whatever, like they have 2 million people that are on the same app at the same time with this, that have this card. I'm like, man, if you can't turn that user base into money, I don't know what we're doing here.
They literally just hire the two wrong business guys.
Yeah, because they need white guys to get into the indoors, and they hire the two wrong white guys. And I don't know. It was a board decision at that point. And
it's painful, man. You feel bad for Hamid.
I felt bad.
Also, you can tell that like Hamid is just tired. Like, for years, every time this came up in the news, it just had to explain that I don't have anything to do with it. I was voted out.
Mm-hmm. He seems
they get screwed. They tank that company so fast that it's within the period of time that as founders they can't liquidate their stock.
They need like 8 to 12 months or whatever to liquidate stock.
They have to wait a year, I guess, to sell their stock, and they've been pushed off the board, so they have no control over these decisions at all.
Yeah.
And they just watch the board make a series of decisions that completely devalues millions in stock.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it is.
Leaves them basically not broke. Hamid is doing fine on other ventures, but like,
he's fine.
It fucked Stacy up.
Well, I mean, Stacy was not.
But he bought it back out of bankruptcy. He bought it at auction.
Stacy was the head marketer at Paramount or something,
right?
Like he was not. He was not
Motown, I think.
And he was represented Motown. He did for a minute. He created a black music festival or something, or no, black movie festival or something. He was not an unknown dude in the industry.
Yeah.
Like he was head of marketing of a studio.
Right.
Not VP.
No, he should have been able to get these meetings with the chains. I don't know why they couldn't. He doesn't come off as the most
they mentioned how venture capitalism and the amount of money there is for venture capitalists.
That's right. It's less than 3% goes to black companies. Yeah. That's fucked up.
Yeah, so
it's fucked up.
So like,
let that number sink in a minute. That's really crazy.
So if you're a black entrepreneur, I hope you have a white friend.
Jesus H Christ. Yeah.
Because at that point I'm like, man, just get a yes man. Just get an actor.
Well, honest to God, I think that's who they thought they fucking hired. I just can't. I don't think they thought they'd get pushed out of the board.
Dude, get some like just a guy with an earpiece and Cyrano de Bergerac in meetings or something. Like he just.
Yeah, I would recommend watching that MoviePass doc. It's fucking awesome. It's really fun.
Early bird, get the first one. Pass it, niggas, your turn. Hit the J, don't let it burn. Hit the J, don't let it burn. Hey, you gotta pass it. Hey, you gotta pass it. Hit the J 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 11 times. That's my habit. Hey, you gotta pass it.
Well, now feels like a good time to mention that if you haven't joined us over at patreon.com/tvdudes, you can throw down $1 an episode and get bonus content every single week.
You can support the TV Dudes at patreon.com/tvdudes. You're the only charge for the bonus eps. So for $4 a month or just $1 a week, you'll get double the pod.
Well, I hope everybody enjoyed the episode last week when we discussed our very mixed feelings about Furiosa, a movie flawless scene to scene that managed to somehow not add up for us at all. This week, we're going to be chatting about Legend of Korra, Book 2, Spirits.
Sure.
As we get back to our Legend of Korra, there wasn't anything that quite grabbed us in the theater this week, and so we're going to jump back into Korra. And then next week, as our main episode,
we just watched so much Furiosa in the theater. I think
too many. Yeah, a little too long on the Fury Road. And then next week, as our main episode, we'll be talking about another selection by showrunner Danny Doggett, showrunner level of Patreon. For a measly $20, you can tell us what to watch and pick 4 episodes from it. He picked Delicious and Dungeon. Did I get the name of that right?
Mm-hmm.
and picked 4 episodes of us to watch.
Dungeons.
And we're going to check it out.
I wonder which 4 episodes this time. Hey, that was season 2, episode 5, and then season 1, episode 17.
I kind of appreciate it. It's good. I kind of like all right, walk me through your favorite show here.
There's also a couple other awards over on our Patreons. Go check them out.
But for the main course this week, let's get into the fest.
Yeah, so I honestly, this is just going to be like more of a recap for me, like, because you were excited every time you came back from a panel or whatever when I was there.
I also did not eat nearly enough food, so I was a little bit punchy.
But yeah, the main attractions for this year, as I understand it, were the Suits reunion, Girls 5 Ever karaoke, and the Billy the Kid people were there.
Yeah, well, MGM Plus was there.
MGM Plus,
kind of in force.
Yeah.
So what used to be Epics, so the people to bring it from and Rogue Heroes and all of that, they were there to do Interview with the Vampire season 2, which is I think 4 episodes in now. Dealing with the Theater of the Vampires, all of that's the Antonio Banderas part of the movie. So they were there, as well as the Billy the Kid folks. And a new show, which I believe will be out in June, or later this month, I think. Hotel Cocaine.
Yeah.
Which we got screeners for, but can't quite discuss just yet. So yeah, on Thursday, I guess my day kicked off with, or Fest kicked off with the Interview with the Vampire folks. And I got to chat with Mark Johnson and Roland Jones. Roland Jones is the showrunner, who also worked on Perry Mason, some other stuff. Mark Johnson is a super producer. Like, man, he produced Rain Man. Like, he's done probably 2 movies a year for most of my life, that all of your life, that someone you know saw a Mark Johnson production like every year of your life, whether you knew it or not. So he's cool. Really cool guy to talk to.
Yeah. Also,
I just realized, oh man, I'm talking out my ass. Interview with the Vampires, AMC. So anyway, AMC, I get all my pluses mixed up here. So the MGM folks are there with Hotel Cocaine and Billy the Kid. AMC was there with Interview.
With the Vampire. You said the panel with that was pretty interesting.
It was cool. They had the guy that plays
goth girl in the audience shit going on.
Man, that was a lot of goth. Not as I heard a lot of people saying, like, oh man, I can't believe how cosplay the audience was. And I was like, I mean, it's a lot of goth girls, but also
cosplay,
like, you need to get out more, or to more Comic Cons, or just, I don't know, down to Elysium on a fucking weekend night. Like, like this is tame. They held it back, but it was still different audience than I am part of for that same show. I'm looking around and like, we all love this show for slightly different reasons.
Just slightly,
yeah. But yeah, it was cool. They all chatted a little bit about. They had a cast change. The girl that plays Claudia, the Kirsten Dunst vampire, like the young girl vampire, had to change between season 1 and 2.
Yeah, she went off to do an Avatar movie.
Yes, her character was in Avatar 2 and will be in 3 and 4, I believe.
Yeah, so she got called up to the show.
Yes, no, she's up to the big show. They just couldn't hold her back. Leagues. And the new girl they got to replace her blended real smoothly, just kind of straight in. They knew it was going to happen, and they weren't really cute about it in the same way that Sense8 was, but they didn't have her talk for the first part of the episode back, and then kind of introduced her character like this is our new Claudia, roll with it, and like move forward. Also, in just a kind of weird, classy move, the second season of Interview with a Vampire opens with Interview with a Vampire season 2. The role of Claudia will now be played by blah. And then they just move on. I was like,
okay.
All right. Especially since it deals with like stage theater all this season. It's like, it's pretty cool. So I had their interview, and then we rolled straight into their panel. And then from there, I went and watched with a whole room of people, the Hacks season 3 finale.
Yeah, that's right.
Which is a badass episode.
Yeah.
And we actually, you and I watched it as soon as I got home too, because it dropped that night. It dropped like when I got home. Mark Indelicato, who plays Damien, her assistant on it, was there. Don't
leave me.
It was a trip. He had, he has a scene that he just steals out of the Hacks finale. they found out they got a season 4 basically while we were sitting there, like that day. He during the panel he called Ava Hannah Einberger, blanking on her last name now. He called the actress who plays Ava. Somebody asked, "Hey, are you? Is the cast really friends?" And he was like, "Yeah, no, I was literally FaceTiming with Hannah like 5 minutes ago. Do you want me to call her?" And yeah, I got to meet him at a happy hour a little bit later, at a press happy hour, just shooting the shit about shaving off his goatee down to the Freddie Mercury mustache he rocks now. He broke up a picture of his dad. He looks exactly like his dad. Like scrolled. You gotta see this. You gotta see this. He's showing back through his phone. He was a fucking trip. He was fun to chat with. He also said that he'd planned to do something to embarrass Hannah over the weekend, and that worked perfectly.
You also got to hang with Alan Tudyk for a minute, correct?
Yeah. So on Friday, I really thought Saturday was going to be my like super crazy day, but it really ended up being Friday. Woke up and did the Fargo screening, which they just showed the first episode of season 5, which we've all seen a bunch of times now.
Yeah.
But it was fun. Noah Hawley came out afterwards, chatted about having his office here in Austin, which I did not even realize. Apparently he had an office in LA. He went 2 years that he never went in. It was like, fuck, it's been 2 years. I'm just, maybe I should move my office. And after that, I went and interviewed Tom Blythe and Donald DeLine. Folks, you check out that interview. It's out already. Got to chat with Graham Yost again. The Yost with the most. If people can say less is more to me as often as they do, I'm going to make him put up with that. I had talked to Graham once before, several years ago at ATX Fest. In just one of those magical ATX Fest moments, I did not have an interview with him. He just had 10 minutes and was standing there. And that's honestly, that's the kind of, I realize I'm press at these things, but like that kind of shit happens at ATX Fest sometimes.
Yeah.
It has much less of a barrier between the talent and the
it's smaller.
people. It's yeah. It really is an attitude difference, and it's one of the reasons I would recommend people go. The other reason is there just aren't that many television fests. Like I said with Hacks, how often do you get to watch TV in a big crowd? It doesn't happen as often, and Interview with a Vampire is a fucking hilarious show, and I didn't really realize it.
Watching it with
you giggle to yourself a little bit when people ham it up or whatever, but in a crowd that shit catches.
Woo!
And like it was fucking hilarious. So I talked to Yost. We talked everything from Speed to Justified to Earth to the Moon,
Justified.
all of it. How everything in that dude's career is just fun. He's great to talk to. He is from Toronto, Canada.
All right.
Then caught the Billy the Kid screening, which we one more episode back. It was a pretty badass episode. A whole lot of gunfight. The gunfighting has definitely upped in season 2 quite a bit. Whole lot of people get shot in this fucking episode. And then they did their talk afterwards. In talking about trying to get into things and not knowing how popular they'll be or how small a room, if I'd gotten there a few minutes earlier, I'd have been fine. But I was literally the last person, like, as they shut the door to go to the Mike Flanagan monologue case. It was just Mike Flanagan in a very small room with a bunch of TV nerds talking about monologues. And that was one of the ones that was going to be pretty interesting. So when I didn't get into it, I basically just ran across the hall and got into an author's panel. Wasn't even a panel. We literally pulled our chairs up in a circle in the middle of the room. And Alan Sepinwall from Rolling Stone and Mo Ryan, who busted open all the lost shit. I believe she's Vanity Fair. Yeah. Just basically a who's who of people who have written books about the MCU, books about Hollywood. In Sepinwall's case, books about everything, the OC, television, all of it. And they all just chatted about, what is it like to start writing a book about the MCU and interview enough people for Disney that Disney just reaches out of like, hey, we don't have an Ant-Man movie coming out this year, but you interviewed everybody from Ant-Man. What are you doing? And like getting lawyers. What are you doing?
Hey, the fuck you doing?
Maureen Ryan talked about like the in 9 months or a year of legal of like, so this word in this paragraph, it actually could have 3 meanings. We're going to need you to use this word instead. And like just doing that to your whole book
Yeah.
of like, hey, did you have style? No, that's legal wiggle room.
Well,
we don't
also,
like that.
like, man, like that would take forever.
Oh, it took months. And she said, and then, but once the book came out and like she blew up a bunch of people's shit.
Mhm.
I mean, with sources and people on the record, like no screwing around. Mo is absolute professional. But she was like, she talked about just being terrified that like, I'm going to get sued by people who can just wreck you.
But I guess that's why you hire a legal team so that like
thankfully hers was not self-published or anything. It went through like Condé Nast Legal or something. And it was very much like, can we prevent you from being sued? No, this is America. Anyone can sue you. We will make it so impossible to win and so expensive to try. Yeah. That no one sane would even come at you. Yeah. And like, that's the best that any lawyer should truly promise.
Right.
It was.
You won't get sued. No, we're in America.
No, this is America. Anyone can sue you. What we can do is make it so stupid to do it. So then after that, killed a little bit of time and then went to a press mixer. This is something I'd not been to before. I don't know if they just didn't have these before or if I just didn't feel like enough of a cool kid or what, but like I didn't go to press mixers. I've never. So first I walked through the wrong bar. Just the Driscoll bar was packed. And like it's a pretty fancy hotel, so it's just people with, more money than I have. Yeah. And so like I'm walking through going, well, I just don't recognize any of these people. This is pretty lame. And then I realized we were in the wrong bar and I went upstairs and we went to the other mezzanine level. Why two mezzanines makes no fucking sense. It's not that word. Anyway, went into the correct bar. Second mezzanine, motherfuckers. And ended up chatting with Chris Sheridan, the creator of Resident Evil, Alan Tudyk, who is Alan Tudyk, Mark Indelicato, Damien from Hacks. Mark Fauerstein was not supposed to be there. They just turned around and he's standing there and trying to explain that he used to be on a TV show as well, which was a trip. Also talked to Meredith Scardino for a little while. She created Girls 5 Evo, wrote on Kimmy Schmidt, wrote for the Colbert Report back in the day. She was super nice to talk to. Celebrities, they're just like us. All of that was a blast. At that point, I realized I had not really eaten any food. And so I think I came and found you and was like, we have to get home before I fucking die. Then Saturday, I got up, went and met with the Chris Brancato, who his name is all over every Narcos. Like he created, show ran Narcos.
And he's involved with Hotel Cocaine, right?
Yes. So, and Maurice Compte, who is an actor in Narcos, he, in the middle of making that show at some point, mentioned to Chris Brancato, hey man, my dad managed the Mutiny Hotel for the 70s. He knew a lot of these guys. And Brancato was like, there's no knowing a lot of these guys. So your dad was a cocaine cowboy then. Like there's no running the Mutiny in 74.
Yeah. No, my dad was just friends with him and ran this club,
the hotel where they sold. I'm hearing it now.
Yeah, I'm hearing it now. Oh shit.
So Brancato,
our car was very nice.
Like you would told him like, hey, cool man, write that up. Like stop talking to me about it. Let's just go write that up, dude. Like we absolutely should talk about that. And it ended up becoming like 5 years later. Finally, Maurice Compte and his girlfriend helped him like get it together into some kind of shape. And they talk about in my interview with him. And it became Hotel Cocaine. In the show, he's got a brother. There's an uncle that's like heavy in the drug game to give this family like this tension between the hotel, but also family. But the family's also the drug side. That kind of and the uncle's not real. Yul Vasquez character.
Well, you got to give a little bit.
But you got to. And honestly, it's that kind of stuff that made me happy. Talking to the Billy the Kid guys too, of like, yes, you are technically doing historical things, but also you understand that like a true story is not going to have a climax where you need it to. Like it's a life story, it's just not going to arc where you want. And you got to play. This isn't a documentary,
right?
Like put the show together. So it was cool talking to them about getting that together. Right after that, I went into the next room and talked to Faustine and Danny Pino and Yul Vasquez, who are all starring in Hotel Cocaine. Went and talked to Susie Ferris, who is a casting director. Folks can check out the interview I've got with her. There were, because of a casting society panel, there were a ton of casting directors there, and I ended up talking to 3 different casting directors: Susie Ferris, Sherry Thomas, and Bonnie Zane, who have cast everything from Galaxy Quest to Chucky to the Santa Clauses on Disney to Breaking Bad.
I do like that the female wall of casting directors.
Yes, and the
apparently male driven until you get to casting directors. Suddenly, who decides who's in what? Suddenly, females have the power.
Right, and I'm talking to the person who is the one who went. So your drug show, Malcolm's dad.
Yeah,
hear me out. And Vince Gilligan looked at her and was like, he was in my X-Files episode. I've been waiting to cast that dude for
Hell
years.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
Oh shit. I'm gonna take a
right. Take a spin through that.
Well, honestly, like, man, casting directors, like, everyone's job on a thing on Hollywood production is important. But there's a point of, like, you do realize that the MCU, its success is built mostly on casting.
Yeah.
Like the way they cast people is not just they cast the right people for the part, but they cast up and coming people that are cheap.
Bonnie Zane,
recognizing early talent, and Bonnie
gave Justin Long his first role, or one of his first Galaxy Quest. Like, cast him on that.
That's right.
Just man, crazy stuff. They were all super cool to chat with. Really knowledgeable about business. They were a trip every time. Like, I love talking to all the casting people. They were super cool. Went straight from there to chat with, or to watch the Halt and Catch Fire panel, which I loved that show. You want to talk about a cast that fucking loved each other? Oh my God. All panels are a little bit of a love fest, but I mean, it's not like there's ever animosity on stage.
Mm-hmm.
But man, the Halt and Catch Fire panel could have hugged at the end, like group hugged at the end, and then gone for drinks. It would not have surprised me. They all love each other. Right after that, went and immediately chatted with Chris Cantwell and Chris Rogers, the 2 guys that created Halt and Catch Fire. Toby Huss, one of the actors from it, said in on the interview. I have been trying to get an interview with Toby Huss for years and did not get an interview with him this year. So when he walked up and was like, "So where do you want me to sit?" I'll be honest with you, man. I did not get an interview with you. I have it on good authority from your press people that you don't have time to talk to me.
Dude, you're telling me Toby Huss seemed to, like, he just wanted to sit in.
Dude, he crashed a friend of mine, Ariana. He crashed her interview with the Hotel Cocaine guys before security could catch him because they didn't recognize him. Like, this dude in a ball cap with his badge in his back pocket goes, like, sneaking in, and, like, I hear this, sir. And they just basically went and tackled Toby Huss.
So
thankfully, he whooped his badge out and figured out who he was.
We were talking a little bit about this, but the advantages for a fest like this are also, we think about press and fans and stuff getting to meet them, but there's also opportunities for the talent here to, like, because you were saying Billy Billy
Faustine wasn't supposed to be there. He just walked out onto the balcony because Tudyk was standing there and, like, let me talk to this dude.
Like Billy the Kid actor.
Right. So Tom Blythe got to spend all day, I don't know how often, with talent.
MGM, basically executive producer.
Right.
Like, so when do you get the time to, like, rub elbows with him? Like,
I kept thinking of the scenes in Hacks of, like, if you got stuck with Helen Hunt all day, that changes your career.
Yeah.
Just because now she knows you.
Right.
Like, well, now Donald, I mean, obviously Donald knew the kid that was leading Billy, but, like, I don't know how often the Assad, the actor, Assad Zaman, the actor that plays Armand on Interview with the Vampire. I don't know how often he gets to spend the entire day with the showrunner and
because you were saying, Mark Johnson. That, and, like, it's what's different about ATX versus other conventions is the fact that who they get to be interviewed and who are guests, because, like you said, you couldn't get an interview with Toby Huss because he's talent and probably has a lot of interviews.
He was super busy, and super quick busy. Turnaround. Yeah.
But he wanted to get in on that interview with you.
He was just hanging out with the Chris's, didn't want to leave.
Because he wanted to, be with the other 2 guys who are technically, like, very powerful.
Yeah, but they don't aren't on a show together anymore, so they don't get to hang out anymore.
Even, because there's executive producers there's, like, marketing people, and even the casting directors. I'm like, man, as far as like talent is cool, but there's some like fucking powerful people
Oh
here.
my God. Lisa Katz, the head of NBC Scripted, was walking around. Like, these
Yeah.
are not people you recognize, but these are people that run Hollywood.
Like these are people with like juice that like
Right.
these are people that would you would never be able to get into a meeting with them in the door as far as
the cool thing with the Halt and Catch with Huss and Cantwell and Rogers is you could tell how much like they just all liked each other and just hadn't seen each other in a while because they aren't on shows, they aren't on the same show anymore. It's been 10 years. And because like just listening to them talk about the weird amount of rehearsal time they had on that show that you don't normally have. They were all living in Atlanta. The whole cast was, they shot most of it there. And Toby was like, yeah, we'd just go over to whatever place Lee Pace had rented and with the new week script and everybody bring some food and open up a bunch of bottles of wine. And we'd spend like 4 hours, like we'd do a table read and then spend like 4 hours just bullshitting about the script and our character and like, well, I think this line's cringe that I say, and somebody else would be like, no, I think that line's perfect for your character. I could hear you saying that. Like, and then they'd send like all of their notes back to LA to the writers. And like, I'm looking back over at Cantwell and Rogers going, so how'd y'all take that? And they were like, man, maybe we were just young and it was our first show, but we, as long as it was about the characters and like, we'd listen. And Toby was like, that is not how most shows work. It's like I was just on a project where I was like, hey, can we do something a little loose this one? I'm just going to say it a little differently. And the showrunner walked over and put his hand on me and said, don't improvise. And I was like, fuck it, cool. Let's just do our jobs and go home then. All right.
Man, well, having even just made the small thing with Henshin we did, I feel like, oh shit, I'm the latter type. Like, nope, say the thing I fucking wrote. I wrote it that way for a reason.
I would definitely want to take the way I wrote it. But yeah, it was cool.
But I like because the Halt and Catch Fire guys, that was the first script. Like,
it was the first thing they'd ever done, really.
Yeah.
And you can see the tears in their eyes almost of like, no, this is the show that changed our lives, changed our lives. Also got to talk to Melissa Bernstein, who is the executive producer of Better Call Saul, Breaking Bad, Halt and Catch Fire. She's a huge exec at AMC. Again, talking about people that like, man, so I've talked to folks all day who are, more famous on the street, but not more powerful when it comes to why did I actually get to watch the shows I love?
Yeah.
Melissa did her job. Like I got Breaking Bad. Breaking Bad had what it needed to be Breaking Bad. Vince Gilligan had what he needed. Whoever you think is the genius that made the show, they got to do that because of people like Melissa Bernstein. And so that was just super cool to chat with her. Like, yeah, I want to know every story she knows. Went straight from there to the closing night thing on Saturday. Last year they did a Cheers read through and I missed it. They had a bunch of Cheers cast and they had, you've got a bunch of other celebs there. And so they just did like a table read of the Cheers pilot. And Randy got to go see it and said it was the shit.
Yeah.
It was awesome. I've heard from a bunch of people it was the thing to see last year. So this year, as a tribute to Norman Lear, they did a Good Times episode and a Maude episode.
That's right.
And the Maude episode was about abortion, which you can't believe that shit aired in like 74. Just ballsy episode. The Good Times episode was about how racist IQ tests are. And again, differently, but ballsy episode. Like they pushed back hard on it. It's great.
Right. Well, this was like, people are talking about like the woke culture that has suddenly risen up. And I'm like, no, guys.
This was just a casual episode of Maude back in the day.
Well, honestly, these things weren't as big of a deal until, man, the right religious sect got into the
Maude episode. They tried to do it.
Like they got burned by the time it hit syndication, right?
Yeah. There was nothing wrong with it. No fanfare when it first aired. 2-part episode, Maude's Dilemma. I think it's in season 1, 74 or so. Went fine. By the time it came back around for reruns, the religious right went hard against it. And I think they got it pulled from reruns. So it didn't rerun as much. When they got ready to do those Jimmy Kimmel, Kevin Hart, Different Strokes episodes and stuff like during pandemic, they wanted to do that Maude episode. And we're told no.
Wow.
Like, that's just cowardly. That's just chicken shit. I love that because they had all the casting ladies there. they used the casting society people. I think one of the casting agents, Felicia, cast both. like okay,
Yeah.
here's all your panelists.
Yeah.
Here's everybody that you can pick from.
Yeah, that's funny.
Who should be who?
Yeah, that's great.
So like Mark Fauerstein is the guy that's administering the racist IQ test on Good Times.
Sure.
Pamela Adlin was Maud.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was going to be Katie Seagal, but she was not able to attend at the last minute. She is also Norman Lear's goddaughter, I think.
Did you ask me something about Jamie Presley being there?
So she was part of a panel, but not really promoting anything. So
Okay.
I don't even think I saw her on the press list. I just saw her a bunch of times.
Oh, okay.
But I mean, she was there. Like she was sitting like a couple of rows behind me at the Norman Lear thing.
Okay, because I was gonna say, like, you texted me, I thought she was part of the mod, like the table.
No,
read.
she was just there, like watching it.
Okay.
She just happened to be like three rows behind me, sporting a better haircut than I've ever had in my entire life. Like she looked fucking fantastic. Jamie Presley looked great. But no, just like chilling in a t-shirt with her gang. Like it was a trip. Yeah, like if I looked over my left at that thing, there's Jamie Presley just sitting with her with just a group of people like drinking drinks, and then over to my right is Meredith Scardino from like Girls Five Eva, who is standing the entire time, like super into it. Yeah.
Well, I mean, it's an actor's exercise.
Oh, absolutely.
If there's one thing the other talent is going to come watch, it's a fucking good times read.
I would think.
Yeah.
And then afterwards, Alan Sepinwall led a little panel discussion about Norman Lear, his legacy. Phil Rosenthal was part of the panel, but he also was part of the table read for Maud. He was the husband. Danny Pino was part of it. It was fun. That whole thing was fucking cool.
It's I think it was Joss Whedon who used to have his actor friends come over and they would just read Shakespeare.
Yes,
which I'm like,
they finally shot
that. Yeah,
Much Ado About Nothing. Yeah,
and I was like, man, that should have been your leave. But it sounds like a actor's thing too that they would love to do. But I'm like, that would be the thing of like, I hate hanging out with you, Josh. You're such a douchebag. Stop every time. Like, you don't have to turn every hangout into a Shakespeare read.
When I talked to Amy Acker, she talked about that of like the split down the actors of like who's read a shitload of Shakespeare and who hasn't.
Yeah.
Because that's what Joss wants to do. So then on Sunday, I chatted with my last casting director, with Bonnie Zane, who I think was probably my favorite person to talk to the entire fest. I just really got along with Bonnie.
You were saying that
she's awesome.
Did you have a fun story about casting the same guy?
Yes. Yes. So in the interview, she talks about casting Sports Night.
Oh, if it's in the interview, we can leave it to it.
Yeah. About casting Sports Night. It's a really fun bit about casting Peter Krause from 6 Feet Under and all of that.
How he had to like.
Yeah, she just basically
had to audition
it's a good story. So people can check out
guy.
that. I'll get that interview out, and people can check it out pretty soon.
Yeah, you can find all these interviews on the pod eventually, but I think a lot of them are up on YouTube right now.
Yeah, a couple of them are up on YouTube right now, and they'll all be dropping in the next few days.
Yeah.
And then from there, this is, I think, why I ended up being besties with Bonnie all day. From there, we both happened to be going straight to the Toby Huss panel, where Toby talked about painting and the creative process and all sorts of stuff. One of the questions somebody asked was about how does he feel about playing Khan on King of the Hill, which I'm sure is a question he gets routinely.
Yeah.
I believe all of the panels, with the exception of the Norman Lear thing, are online. Like you can go watch all the panels on YouTube. Same with the on-story stuff from Austin Film Fest. I think that this is just a woefully underused YouTube channel.
Yeah,
because
I was looking
there's
at some
awesome
of that stuff.
interviews.
Yeah, a lot of production value and pretty well put together too.
Yeah, so I think I'm going to go through and share at least all the panels that I was at through the TV Dudes channel, because man, folks can watch all of these. Toby's panel was cool. Then from there, I went and got some lunch and saw the closeout thing on Sunday, which was the Suits retrospective. All the rest of these, they show an episode pretty much. The Halt and Catch Fire and the Suits, because these are like 5 and 10 year retrospectives, they just kind of do a few clips and then talk about them. Mostly just talk, like you've got a bunch of the cast up there, a bunch of the creators. And so the Suits panel was cool. It was Patrick J. Adams and Sarah Rafferty, Dooley Hill from Psych, who was on later seasons of Suits, Abigail Spencer, Amanda Scholl, and I'm trying to remember the producer's name that was there with them. But they ended up having they're a hammy cast that hadn't been around each other in a while, and you could tell that they were all having fun, like messing with each other. Patrick J. Adams and Sarah Rafferty are going to do a Suits rewatch podcast, which is technically a Suits watch podcast because neither of them have really watched the show. So it's fun, which is called Sidebar, which is a pretty good name for a Suits podcast.
Not bad.
In that panel, so they gave a $100 Starbucks card because that thing was titled A Legal Mind for way too long. And like everyone knew that like it can't be called A Legal Mind. That's terrible. And they finally just like, look, $100 gift card to literally anyone in the office who can come up with whatever the fuck we use. And somebody came up with Suits.
Sure.
And Patrick J. Adams was like, I can't believe y'all didn't take my suggestion. Ross Examined. Because his name's Ross. And Ross
Examined.
Yeah, and like cross-examined. We're just like, yeah, man, Patrick, we got it. We got it, man.
Yeah.
It's not that we did not understand the joke.
You see this dead silence that's happening in this room right now.
But then for the rest of the panel, Dooley Hill pretty consistently referred to their podcast as Next Time on Ross Examined. And then that basically closed it out. Stood around saying bye to camp friends and being sad that it was over. Went home and started the long process of trying to get my stomach to accept food again after 3 days of telling it to shut up.
Starting the process of not enjoying TV for a minute.
Right. That was the weird thing. I got home and was like, I don't want to watch anything that wasn't Fest related. Like I've basically just been watching screeners for a week. Like I don't want to. Yeah, God, all weekend, man, people would ask like, oh, so you do a podcast about TV. What's hot right now? What should I be watching? And I wanted to be like, man, if it's not a fact about Graham Yost or Hotel Cocaine, I don't know it right now. I don't know how to
ask me next week.
Right, I don't know how to explain to you what
I'll
studying
tell you all
in
about
college
Dungeons and Delicious in Dungeons.
Right. Like, hand to God, my brain holds a finite amount of shit at one time, apparently. Same way I studied in college. I know a lot about this week.
Oh, shit. We didn't talk about My Adventures with Superman and the Diaries, but I suppose we'll do that next week. Oh,
that was the one thing I watched and loved that was not Fest related.
Because that's why I didn't remember it, because I was putting it in with all this other shit.
Right. No, we'll just talk about, we'll double talk about it next week. But yeah, I would say ATX Fest is the fest to go to. Is the only television. There are very few television fests. As
a guy who's been to a lot of festivals and conventions, it is definitely, it has a different feel to it. It's
I know the badges have changed a little bit, but just the tone of the fans, the attitude in line. There's not a I'm trying to out nerd or win this conversation with you. There's just a like. What TV are you in love with? Oh my God, this is the TV I'm in love with.
There's a lot of conventions, and because they're different things or whatever, that have put up and rightfully so, they put up more like safe zones of like, hey, if you don't want to interact with someone, like just stay here for a minute. This is the quiet zone. Cosplay is not consent. Like just general security that they have to do, and it feels like ATX Fest. At least when I was there, I'm like, oh. This feels like your base. Maybe when it's a thing of like if it gets bigger, that'll have to like a Freaknik thing of like if it ever gets too large, it'll just eventually attract the wrong type of crowd.
Yeah, but right now it really does feel like TV camp.
Yeah, that you can just go in and be pretty chill during. I
would love. I mean, I don't want it to, grow too big and fall over. But I do want more people to come, man. If folks should be here next year for it. It's awesome. I really enjoyed being there, doing it again. And to the two fest attendee ladies who told me I looked like Todd Stashwick, literally as I was leaving the hotel to walk to my car at the last possible moment of the fest, it was a beautiful, beautiful send off to a great fest. I will take it. Love me some Todd Stashwick. We'll totally take that as a compliment. I apparently had Todd Stashwick energy.
Sure.
And, sure. Yeah, I've never been more happy to have gone and gotten a haircut in my entire life. Made my day. Well, I think that's probably it for now. You can tune in next week. We're going to talk about Delicious in Dungeons for Patreon supporter Danny Doggett.
Yeah. One I have not watched, so it'll be interesting to like even more so than Mob. I knew what Mob Psycho was. I don't even know what this is. So,
and of course, you can head over to patreon.com/tvdudes and hear what we thought of, or hear what I thought of Legend of Korra Book 2 Spirit.
Sure.
Nick will be discussing that with me as I watch it for the first time. And until next time.
TV Dudes out. Thank you, ATX Fest.